to another episode. I'm your host, Ernest Peralta, and today our guest is Mark Weinstein, based out of Los Angeles, California. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thanks.
Great. Well, real quickly, Mark is the founder and president of MJW Investments, as well as the majority stakeholder of his real estate company. He's got a portfolio that's valued at over $1 billion. He's also widely regarded as a thought leader within the multifamily space. He's a big philanthropist, and he also mentors young real estate professionals. So Mark completed his Juris Doctorate degree from Loyola Law School, and his company has become a full-service, vertically integrated real estate company, and it's been in existence for many years. And you guys are across the United States. You guys are nationally as well, correct?
Yes.
That's great. Well, again, thank you for being on the show. And before we jump into the questions, would love to hear, where did you start? Where are you now? And how did you get there?
So I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, Los Angeles, Canoga Park, and went to undergraduate at Santa Barbara and didn't know a lot about business and knew I wanted to go to law school and knew I wanted to do philanthropy. And so when I went to law school, I quickly realized that if I wanted to do more philanthropy, I was going to need to be a business person too and do real estate. And so in law school, I decided that I would ask some students if they would give me some of their money to buy a building. We bought a building, their student loan money or their work money, whatever they had. We bought a little building in law school, and I practiced law for about 2 or 3 years and was always doing some deals, and eventually wanted to go into real estate full time. Started doing some development in Old Town Pasadena, started buying apartment buildings throughout Southern California, and eventually got into development of 10 buildings in high rises in downtown LA, converting them to like a Soho of downtown, where we had condos and retail and shopping and drugstores and a little market and some restaurants and kind of vibrant mixed use. And then continued to do other development and apartments. And then in 2007, got into student housing. And so now currently we have kind of 3 platforms. One is student housing, one is apartments, and one is being a co-GP with other operators where we provide the capital as co-GPs for them.
That's great. And so I guess law school, was that kind of the pivotal moment where you thought, well, let me go ahead and get into real estate and see how that turns out? Or did you just have this inclination that, well, I probably won't go that route. Let me just go ahead and pursue real estate. Was that kind of your first choice getting into it?
Well, actually, I thought I was just going to do some real estate and still be a lawyer, but that changed after a couple of years when I saw that the opportunities were much bigger in real estate for me than what I thought my law career would take me.
When was the pivotal moment where it started to snowball for you, change the course of your real estate career?
Probably in 1996, after kind of a tragic event. I lost a girlfriend, passed away, and was deciding, with philanthropy what I was going to do. And, the market was kind of weird. And I bought a single condo. And after that, buying that single condo, I kind of shut the doldrums and bought $200 million worth of stuff, including the 10 buildings downtown, shopping centers, and a lot of stuff. And it kind of propelled me into much larger growth, larger development deals, larger acquisition deals, and kind of took off from there.
And when did you start venturing outside of California?
I would say that it would have been 2007. We bought our first student housing deal at the University of Oregon.
Student housing has been one of the pivotal, asset classes of your portfolio then, it seems like.
Yeah, student housing, we're a large independent owner, and then multifamily, a little self-storage, and co-GP mostly in those areas.
As far as your strategy, are you guys more long-term? Do you guys hold it for a certain cycle, or, what type of strategy do you for your business?
Most stuff we hold long-term, but we're more than happy sometimes when we partner with other people. If we're the co-GP, they might want to sell in a few years, and we'll do that. And there'll be some assets that we'll sell that usually we'll exchange. So it's generally rarely ever outright sales. And so I'd say, but overall, it's a long-term holding.
Now, along your journey, did you ever have any mentors at all? And how were they useful for you?
I didn't really have any business mentors. My cousin, when I was younger, was a little bit of a philanthropic mentor. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to mentor people, is because I never had one. There are people I look up to, and really more in my personal life, they gave me some words of mentoring rather than my business life.
What was one thing that you could say in terms of, I call them lessons learned instead of failures, but if there was one that you could pinpoint where, it was an aha moment or something that you can look back and say, well, that's one thing that I won't do again. Where in your life cycle do you think that happened?
I was doing probably the largest redevelopment in Los Angeles. It was a 1.8 million square foot building in 23 acres. And I bought it for like, I don't know, $30 a foot. And I said, how could you go wrong, buying, actually, I bought it for way less, like $20 a foot. I go, how could I go wrong on such a cheap basis? And, I didn't measure my downside. And in a development deal, when you're in it for the long run and the economy changes, you could be holding these things for many, many years. And, you could lose a lot of money just on carry costs. And so I think not measuring my downside on a development deal, I didn't get anybody else involved. I didn't take other people's money. It was all mine, but it was still, the opportunity cost that I lost from all the time I spent just keeping that project going. Even though I paid the lender off and all that stuff, I lost a lot of money, but I lost more were the opportunities that I would have been able to do if I didn't put myself in such a risky investment, being a development deal like that.
Okay. So would there be anything in there that you would do differently if you were to reflect back on that?
Yeah, if I wouldn't go into such a large scale development when there were so many other opportunities just to buy existing that kept me nimble. And this was a major amount of people and time and effort. And it was a very complicated development. And it involved, the city too much. It involved government too much. It couldn't have any more hair on it. And so you have to really weigh when you get something so complicated. Is it worth whatever you could possibly make? And what else are you giving up personally and business wise to do that? And so I think I have a little bit more business acumen now and better advisors around me if I were to ask them their advice than I would have maybe back then. Maybe then I didn't even want to listen to it. Now I'd listen to people.
Yeah. What type of character traits do you kind of look for as far as your background is concerned? Was there anything that you took onto yourself that said, that's a character trait that I want to take on, or propelled you to really, excel in this arena?
I think that having run track in college taught me a lot of discipline. So I think that the discipline that I learned in sports was really important to success, because, I was very driven. So I think that really helped. And I think having passion for the things that you do, if you're passionate about it, you're going to work harder. And wanting to give back, I really wasn't materialistic. So it wasn't like I wanted to make a lot of money because I wanted to spend it. It was, how can I make the world a better place? And if you had more capital, you can do more.
Comes full circle that way. What other type of philanthropy work do you involve yourself with? I know you're in a number of them out there in California. Have you joined any type of other philanthropy organizations recently?
So we started a nonprofit for homelessness during the pandemic, where we're doing transitional and permanent supportive housing. So a group to this young president's organization I'm involved with, we funded several projects in Northern California, Santa Barbara. We're trying to do it in Los Angeles. And the idea is that we do modular housing for $30,000 a room for temporary, and we could do permanent supportive apartments for like $175 a unit all in. And the idea is, this is a philanthropic thing. We're not getting a lot of money from the government to do it. It's private fundraising to do it. So that's one newer thing. A camp that had a big impact on me when I was a young kid burned down during the Woolsey fires. And so I've been putting up money and raising money to rebuild that camp. So that's been a big thing. And then I'm involved with the Jewish community with a mentorship program that I sponsor, and several venture philanthropy funds where we give money to different groups. And I did some lobbying recently in Sacramento for nonprofit security for nonprofits that need the security or the training for security at their facilities to prevent all the crazies that are out there attacking all these different institutions. And so I'm involved in a lot of different things, and it takes up a lot of my time and resources, but it's a very rewarding thing to do, and I get a lot of energy from it.
What is a typical day for Mark?
I get up. I have 8-year-old kids, twins, so I'm immediately interacting with them and getting ready to. I do a little Tai Chi in the morning. I work out. I work out every day. So I have that. And in between the workout, I'm going up to check on the kids before they're going off to school. And so I do the workouts, and I then go to work, try to get into actual office by 8:30. And I, I don't work long hours because I have board meetings, I have different meetings. And so generally I'm at a meeting or something by 5 o'clock, or home. Like today I came home, I'm doing this meeting from home because I'm actually at 6, I got to notarize a bunch of documents. So they're coming over to my house to bring a bunch of documents over for some transactions. And so I found that I do a lot of work in my home office since COVID. Fridays, I work solely from my home office, and I get a lot done. No one's around, the kids are at school, and I get a lot done. So Fridays are pretty productive, and it's a lot more relaxed. And so, yes, every day is a little different depending on board meetings, meetings at night. COVID's changed my schedule quite a bit. I used to have a lot more night things. Now there's a lot more things by Zoom, and I tend to not go to every meeting anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's changed a little bit.
That's good. Yeah, COVID definitely has impacted everybody's kind of work schedules, but at the same time, convenience, you don't have to travel to the office.
Yeah, especially in rush hour traffic.
Yeah, exactly. How long does it take you normally if you were to go to the office?
Well, the office that's easy. It's only 10 minutes.
That's cool.
So the board meetings sometimes took me 45, 50 minutes to go places for board meetings. And so I'm saving hours now and still be able to be at the meeting. So it's really a great thing.
Exactly. So that's efficiency right there. So what's the best advice that you can give young professionals that are coming into the industry? What would be a message that you can give to them?
One thing is that a lot of the young people don't want to work as hard or think it's going to be handed to them. And, I never worked for anybody. So I never got any mentoring. I never got any work experience. I had to kind of figure it out myself. And so it takes a lot of hard work. You got to put a lot of hours in to learn the trade. And, and if you want to get a job in a good place, you got to put the time in. And you got to remember in the beginning, you're not worth that much to the new employer because you don't have the experience, and having the job is, you're getting this experience on their dime. So you should appreciate the places that you work because they're investing their time and resources in you too. And the other thing is that, I think that I got experience having done it myself in management, development, maintenance, collections, everything. So accounting. And so I think learning as many aspects of real estate as you can, whether it's from the lending side, the management side, the asset management side, I think all of it's good. All the experience is good. And getting an internship in college, even if it's a free internship, is worth its weight in gold. I didn't get that either, but we hire college interns sometimes. And, and I'll be honest with you, my staff doesn't like it often because it's a burden to them. They feel like they give more of their time than they're receiving back. And so they're hesitant about doing it. So if you're lucky enough to get one, you should appreciate that you get the opportunity. So if someone will give you an opportunity, take it.
That's great. Yeah, good advice there, Mark. And so where do you see yourself and your company within the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, we're growing a lot, especially where we're being the co-GP with other people that are operators. We're finding that there are a lot of people where our balance sheet, our expertise, our capital can help them at a pivotal point grow their platform and not miss all the good deals they could have got, get them better terms on their equity, debt, and everything. And so that's one area, and maybe more than just in apartments and student housing, like self-storage is one of the areas that we're going into, and we've talked to some industrial people. So we're broadening our footprint with CoGP. We're broadening our scope on apartments in different Sunbelt states. And I got great people working at the office, so I can see them, finding the next opportunities as the economy changes.
A lot of activity that's happening here over the next few years. Yeah. That's great. So Mark, where can our audience members find you, or if they wanted to connect with you?
Well, we have a website, MJW Investments, and depending on what they want to connect on, they could go to our website and contact different people at the company that do the different things that they do at our company. But MJWinvestments.com, I think you just Google it and you'll get onto it.
Mark, and one last question. What's one piece of advice that you can give to somebody right now if they were to get into commercial real estate?
I think that have an open mind as to what you might end up doing in what area. Like, try to get exposure to as many areas as you can. You might think you want to be an apartment person. You turn out that industrial is good for you. And so just see if you can get a broad exposure and do informational interviews with people to find out what they do, and learn as much as you can. Be a student of real estate, and you'll go into it with a broader perspective.
Well, thank you, Mark. Really appreciate that. Well, that is all the questions I have for you, Mark. Really appreciate your time for jumping on today. So really appreciate you. And there you have it, folks. Until the next time, have a great day. Take care.